The fourth episode of The Falcon and Winter Soldier just dropped yesterday, and it was absolutely amazing. That has got to be the best episode of the show so far, and might be my favorite episode of any Disney Plus series so far. I'm just absolutely loving the direction they're going with in this series, and I just can't wait to see where they go next. Anyways, you guys already know the drill. Since there's no real way for me to talk about these episodes without spoiling them, I do have to ruin the entire episode for you. So if you guys have not seen episode 4 of The Falcon and Winter Soldier, make sure to go watch that first and then come back here. I really don't want this to be ruined for you guys. Anyways, if you're still here, you've seen it, that was your warning. Let's go ahead and talk about episode 4. The past few episodes have spent a lot of time fleshing out the different characters in the show, but this episode is where everything starts to converge and we begin to reach that boiling point. I've liked the show a lot so far, but this was hands down my favorite episode. It was dark, realistic, and gritty. It's everything that I've wanted from this show. It almost feels too dark for the MCU, but I still love the new direction it's taking this universe in. Anyways, there's so much to talk about, mainly with John Walker, but I'm going to leave that to the end because I do go through these episodes chronologically, but don't worry, we will get to John Walker as Captain America later in the video. Anyways, I love that the episode begins in Wakanda. Seeing these large cinematic places in this show just makes the show feel even more like a movie. I love that Bucky gets a quiet, emotional scene showing how badly the Winter Soldier training has affected him. It was a very powerful moment, and you could see all the pain in his eyes. Sebastian Stan did a great job with that performance. He really just sold that moment for me. His acting was top-notch. I love that the Dora Milaje are the ones that helped him recover, but I can't help but thinking that it was originally supposed to be T'Challa. Obviously, Chadwick Boseman did pass away, so the Black Panther couldn't be in this show, but I just can't help but think that he was supposed to be in this originally. Anyways, I really need to get those thoughts out of my head. The Dora Milaje were really awesome in this. Their entire involvement in the show feels really natural. They didn't feel shoehorned in at all. And Zemo is like the perfect plot device to bring them into the story. I mean, they have every reason to want to capture this guy and bring him in, and Io gives a great little monologue in the beginning of the episode explaining why. Zemo in this episode was also great as well. He was super sneaky and had his own little motivations, which was perfect for him. One thing that I particularly liked with his character in this episode was the way that he started destroying the serums instead of using it for himself. That fits perfectly with his character, just the way he was in Civil War. He's against the super beings controlling the planet, whether they be good or bad, and that's kind of why he doesn't like the Avengers. I don't know what it was, it's just seeing him in this episode, in episode 4, felt a lot more like the one that we saw in Civil War. Maybe it's that, or maybe I'm just finally getting sold on this new version of Zemo that we're seeing. Anyways, it's still really cool to see him rolling around with Bucky and Sam, even though he's low-key playing them the whole time. Their interactions are still really awesome. I especially like that moment when Bucky smashes that tea glass against a wall and gets really upset. And Zemo doesn't even flinch for a second and then also offers him another cup of tea, which was just egging him on even more. I just love that moment so much. It just shows how much Bucky hates Zemo for everything that he made him do in Civil War. Sam was very interesting in this episode, mainly because of his interactions with Carly. He actually sees where she's coming from and not only understands her motivations and mission, but pretty much agrees with it in a way. Like, he really sees why she's doing what she's doing and can't help but feel that he would do the same thing. It's just he doesn't agree with the way she's going about it at all. And him and Bucky have that nice little conversation about it on the couch. This episode is just loaded with a bunch of deep conversations that really start to make you think about what it would be like to be living in their world. It's just really thought-provoking stuff, man, and I love to see that in a show like this. I also do like the way that Sam handles himself in this episode, the way that he tries to talk things out with Carly instead of going in guns blazing like John Walker wanted to. He gets to slow down the entire show and have this really nice conversation with Carly. In a show where heroes and villains are mainly fighting each other with combat, it's nice to see them just stop and have a conversation. So I'm really glad that they did that. And throughout the episode, it just seems like he's making every decision that Steve would make if he was in his place, which is why he's just perfect as the new Captain America. I know some people were really not sold on the fact that Sam was going to be the new Captain America. Like when he got the shield at the end of Endgame, they just didn't get it and couldn't see him in that new role. But after watching this show, I mean, there's really no way you can't look at Sam and be like, that is Captain America. Like, the part that really sold it for me in this episode was when Zemo asked him if he would take the serum, and he immediately says no without any hesitation at all, since he's just a good person. Like, that is the exact same answer that, like, Steve Rogers would give, whether he was, like, skinny guy in World War II or about to die in Endgame. It doesn't matter what level of power he's at, his heart is still his heart, and it's a good one. So Sam's character has just been making some really nice strides in this show, and I can't wait to see how they finish it off. Anyway, speaking of Carly, we did get to understand her a little bit more in this episode. But the more time that we spend with her, the more she starts to feel good, yet evil at the same time. Her motivations are valid, and you can really understand why she's doing what she's doing, but at the end of the day, she's still killing innocent people. And they do try and mention this explicitly by telling us about how one of the people killed in the blast had just started that job 2 weeks ago, so really he was just an innocent dude. But at the end of the day, she still thinks that everything she's done is justified. But you can start to see her question her own decisions and ethics here when she has that conversation with Sam and he starts to make her second guess herself. Like maybe what she's doing and the way she's going about things just isn't the right way. But before she comes to a conclusion, John Walker does come bursting in through the door and ruining that whole moment. So they were so close to stopping her, just so close if John Walker just hadn't showed up right there. I still think she'll end up being a quote-unquote good guy at the end of the show, but she's done a lot of stuff that is going to be pretty hard to come back from. I mean, she's out here straight up killing people and also threatening children. Like, that's pretty evil stuff, man. Also, I guess she has some kind of deal going on with the power broker. I'm still really curious as to who it is, but I honestly have no idea. Make sure to let me know your guesses down in the comments below, or if you actually know based on the comics. I wouldn't know, I haven't read them. But yeah, she's a really interesting character, and I can't wait to see what they do with her in these next 2 episodes. Okay, now we gotta talk about the best character in today's episode, who is also becoming my favorite character in this show, John Walker, aka Captain America. Now, first off, I gotta say to anybody who is sending death threats to Wyatt Russell for playing Captain America in this show, you gotta stop and rethink what you're doing with your life. I mean, you gotta realize the actors playing these characters are not the same as these characters. Like, Wyatt Russell in real life is not a bad dude. He's a perfectly pleasant person. He's just playing a very evil character, which is actually a good thing, because that means he's doing a great job. I'm just tired of seeing these toxic fandom things from like Star Wars, Marvel, and everything else, where you have fans attacking these actors who don't make any of the decisions when it comes to making these characters. Either way, Wyatt Russell is absolutely killing it as John Walker, and he deserves nothing but praise for this role. Anyways, everything about him was perfect in this episode. Right from the beginning, you can see that he's getting more and more frustrated with the entire situation, and that he's beginning to feel powerless. From Carly taking him out with a punch, and then also the Dora Milaje kicking his ass without being superpowered. He just looked so defeated in that moment. I loved it. The burden of being a regular guy in this larger-than-life world is really getting to him, and he's starting to crack under the pressure. Like, he almost looks like a crazy person now with the way he's looking at things, the way he's just acting, and looks almost jittery in a way. He just looks like he came straight out of a psych ward. And then about halfway through the episode, he actually picks up and takes the serum. I don't know much about him in the comics, so I'm not sure if he has it there, but I love that he took the serum here. Right when he picked up the vial, that scene from Captain America 1 with the doctor explaining to Steve about the serum kept going through my mind. Like explaining about how if you're a good person and you take that serum, it's just going to amplify that and make you even better. But if you're a bad person and then you take the serum, you're just going to become even more evil. That scene just kept playing on and on in my head. I really thought they were even going to show a flashback for a moment. Anyways, he doesn't end up taking it right away, and he actually contemplates it. He has that really nice conversation with Lamar, and it shows that he's still a good guy in his mind who's doing what he thinks is the right thing. Like, he didn't just take the serum and go like, oh my god, this is going to make me powerful, and took it right away. He took a second and thought about it and still decided to do it. They're really trying to show like a yin and yang with the 2 ways that taking the serum can go, and I'm absolutely loving that about his character. He's like Steve Rogers if everything went absolutely wrong, and I love it. And then the best part in the entire show happens for me. Carly kills Lamar, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't see coming at all. But this was the perfect thing to really launch John over the edge. He really only has a one friend or relationship in this show, and then he loses that one person. Like, Lamar's purpose in this show was pretty much to die, but it's still perfect because it's going to send John over the edge and make him go absolutely berserk. And then the music and the tone of the entire show just get really dark right after that. John looks like he literally lost his mind. His eyes just look filled with rage. Like, they look completely lifeless, yet filled with emotion at the same time. Wyatt Russell did a great job with that. And the soundtrack really helps build this up with that high-pitched ringing. You can't hear anything else except that ring, which really puts you in John Walker's shoes in that moment. Like, he's just locked in, angry, and wants to kill the man that killed his best friend. And then he finally chases down that flag smasher and completely loses it. This is one of my favorite moments ever for a Disney Plus show. It was just so chilling and horrific. I really wasn't expecting this out of a Marvel show. And that final shot of the blood smeared across the shield is one of the most perfect shots in MCU history, man. I love that. I don't know, guys. Make sure to let me know what you guys thought about that down in the comments below, because that scene was just perfect to me. John Walker has been the standout character in this show, and I'm really hoping he doesn't die at the end of this, because he seems like he's going to be one of the best new villains in this new MCU. I want to see him come back. I want to see him have more interactions with Sam and Bucky, so I really hope he doesn't die. But if that's what's best for the character, it is what it is. Either way, man, I just really love this John Walker Captain America. He's one of my favorite MCU villains ever, for sure. I'm always preaching, guys, the story is only as good as its villain. Man, I just keep on saying that, and this show has an amazing one. Alright, enough gushing and nerding out about John Walker Captain America. Let's talk about the rest of the episode. I gotta say, the soundtrack was just as good as it was throughout the rest of the show. There was one standout theme, that being that sad Civil War song that kept playing throughout with John Walker. It was perfect, and I'm really liking how they're reusing theme songs from the older Captain America films. As for the action scenes, the fight choreography was amazing as usual, and the special effects looked top notch. Sam's wings and Buck's arm looked great, and we also got to see some more of Sebastian Stan's knife tricks as well, so that was pretty cool. I do gotta mention one thing though, that this episode did feel a little bit congested at times. Like, it looks like they shot all the action scenes in this one building and they just kept revisiting it. Marvel action scenes are usually kind of big and end up being kind of long with chase sequences and whatnot, and kind of being a little bit over the top. But this was just really closed off to one building, so that looked a little bit weird to me. But this honestly could have been because of COVID. I know they did have to shoot part of the show during the pandemic, so that may be because of that. Either way though, the fight scenes and everything still looked really great. It was just one little thing that stuck out to me. But yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on episode 4 of The Falcon and Winter Soldier. Make sure to let me know what you guys thought about the episode down in the comments below. Whether you loved it, whether you hated it, whatever you're thinking, anything and everything, leave it all down in the comments below. I'm absolutely in love with this episode and in love with this show. I can't wait to see these next 2 episodes. It's a week away, man. This week is going to be so long, but it'll definitely be worth it. Anyways, make sure to let me know what you guys think down in the comments. But that will pretty much do it for me. I do plan on getting another video up tomorrow, so hopefully I will see you guys in that. But yeah, that will pretty much do it for me, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.